Hola, niños. Just kidding. What's up, my friends and my I can't even talk today. What's up, my guys and pals, my friendly non-binary pal? Y'all hear that? Or is it just me? Oh, it's just my cat. You know, sometimes I literally forget I have a cat because it's like when I first got my cat, I was not used to having a cat because I never owned a cat. Except that one time I took care of my cousins. Anyway, like, my cat's, like, literally small, but, like, when I first got her, I was so scared. Because I, like, heard scratching noises and, meow, and it's like, oh, no, I'm out. I'm done with this. Anyway, today we're going to be back to some wonderful scary stories. Our first scary story of the day comes by the wonderful Kayla Art, and I will be putting the link in the descriptions to each channel we react to. Our first story is I drove through a town full of fake people.
I had just left my mother's house after visiting her on her birthday.
Oh, really?
She lives a state over from me, and while I don't visit as often as I should, I try to make it out there when I do get a chance. I had left my mother's a little after 4 p.m., and for the first hour or so, I was met with an outrageous amount of...
Hey, what's that? What's that? The ultimate sandwich? Ooh, the ultimate sandwich. I bet you I can make the ultimate sandwich.
Congestion. I think I ended up sitting on the highway without moving for a total of 20 minutes straight. My GPS came to life informing me of a severe accident on the road. Although I wasn't surprised, I was grateful to have something to blame on this bad traffic. As my car crept further down the road, my GPS with her overly chipper voice suggested that I take
No! Would you like to take a tea tour with me? No!
Tour. At that point, anything was better than sitting in this metaphorical hell.
Okay,
Eventually, I made
it. I guess so.
My GPS began to plot a new route home as I drove along the side road. Around 10 minutes later, I found myself driving alongside farmland for as far as the eye could see.
What?
While I was still a little frustrated at sitting in traffic, being able to drive consistently with a relaxing view did help calm me down a bit. A few minutes later, my gas light appeared.
No! No! That's the gas light! I'm being so dramatic today, I'm so sorry.
And I sighed as this just seemed...
I was literally eating a cup of ice cream before I, literally started recording.
Add on to my many driving frustrations. I was pulling up to an intersection when I saw a sign for a town to my right.
Oh.
Running out of options, I made my way down the road.
Look at the way it's... Look at that, where people stay. No.
When I first pulled into town, I was surprised at how barren it was.
Actually like that.
There was a small gas station on the edge of town, a post office nearby, and a few residential houses further down the road. Putting the thought to the back of my mind once again, I pulled into the gas station as the sun was beginning to set.
That's a big security camera.
After getting out of my car, I saw that the pump had a "Please pay inside" sign taped to it. When I stepped through the doors and locked eyes with the man behind the counter,
he looks too happy.
I gave him a nod as I walked over to the coolers to grab a water.
What's going on? Why does it keep going blank out like this? I walked up to the counter and set my water down and asked him to put 20 on the pump outside. He just stared at me for a moment with a grin that seemed forced. Oh, hey. I'd be like, excuse me, sir, sir, sir. I like to get 20 on gas. What?
He simply nodded, pressed a few buttons on the register.
Ain't nobody that's happy. Ain't nobody that's happy. That's time to get out.
Then returned to his previously motionless demeanor. I asked him how much it was for the water, but the man didn't acknowledge me at all. Feeling too tired to deal with all this, I just set a 20 and a few ones on the counter and headed out to my car. As I was filling up my car, I noticed something even stranger than the gas station clerk. There was a woman standing in the middle of the street. I watched her until my tank was topped off, wondering what the hell she was doing. As I approached her, I asked her if she was doing all right. To which she replied, "Oh yes, We are happy here. At this
Creepy.
point, I was ready to leave, and not just because my gas tank was full. As I drove through the town, more and more things stuck out at me. The post office nearby had 4 people standing outside of its doors.
Why are they standing outside?
Though I have a friend who works at the post office, and they don't stay open very late at all. So either this was a unique post office, or those people were waiting to get inside a closed building. I began to pass by the houses next. One house had a man raking his front lawn. Normal enough.
Seems normal.
Although there wasn't a single leaf anywhere to be found.
Then again, not normal.
Across the street from him was a house that had a small seesaw in the front yard, with 2 children playing on it.
Those children ain't real.
Except, they were both sitting on it evenly,
Weird.
staring at each other, not going up and down. I started to pick up my pace as I wanted more and more to get out of this strange
I'd be speeding through the town trying to get out.
But I soon regretted that decision as flashing lights filled my rearview mirror. I
Don't
groaned as I
trust
pulled
the
over to the
police.
side of the street. He slowly walked up to my window and stood there. I had been pulled over before, and one thing I learned is you wait for instructions from the officer. I rolled down the window and asked if there was a problem. You have the right to remain silent.
Creep.
I
What
gave
did
him
I
a
do?
confused look and asked if I was under arrest. To which he spoke again. It's illegal to drive a car, sir. He then leaned down and almost stuck his head inside my car window before saying, "Have a nice day." Taking a moment to compose myself, I looked around and noticed that all the people were now staring at me. The man raking his leafless yard, the 2 children. Everyone was staring at my car now.
I think this is one of my
The one that was standing in the middle
of
of the street near the gas station.
Like, I personally can't stand being stared at because I'm literally gonna say something or be really freaked and creeped out.
Well, she was still in the street, but right in front of me now. In a deep, gravelly voice that obviously didn't belong to her, she said, "Join us."
I mean,
I have
nope.
never stopped my foot on the gas
pressed
pedal
the
that
gas
hard
pedal
before in my life. My tires squealed down the road, and I didn't let off until I started to see the cornfields once again. Once I was back on the highway, a tidal wave of relief washed over me. I didn't get off the highway until I was finally home. When I made it home, I couldn't stop thinking about all those weird people. How they all looked like people, but they didn't act like people. I know this must sound confusing to all of you, but it's just as confusing to me. I'm not entirely sure who they are, or even what they are. But I think next year, I'll just send my mom a card for her birthday instead.
I think next year I'll pay for my mom to move down here. Our next lovely animation is by drum roll please. Llama Arts. I've been a big fan of Llama Arts for a while now, but we're gonna react to some Llama Arts. This one's called School Lockdown Stories.
It was a typical boring day in calculus, only it was Friday, 7th period, meaning the week was almost over and spring break would finally be upon us.
It started with a boring day in calculus. Story of my life.
So everybody was getting antsy in their seats, I could tell. We didn't have a test that day like a lot of my friends did with their other teachers, so our teacher in the middle of class just decided to start playing games with us on Sporkle.com.
Sporkle?
He was a very
legit
laid-back
site?
teacher like that. As we were doing some brand logo quiz on Sporkle, I remember the exact moment it happened. Right after my friend answered a question, I remember the exact answer too, Adidas. The dean's voice came through the loudspeaker. He sounded panicked and frantic as he told all the teachers this was not a drill and to go into lockdown. I actually got the chills and I got goosebumps on my arms as our usually laid-back teacher.
The only scariest thing I think I've had happen in school was, I think, oh no, not the scariest thing. The weirdest thing for me, when we had the tornado drills, or something like that, or some type of drill, or whatever, and, like, the most weirdest thing is the teachers would be standing in the hallway like, why ain't you ducking? Wouldn't you be scared if something was to happen to you? Like...
Who seemed panicked as he ran to turn off the lights and ushered us to the back corner of the room. We all sat in silence for about 2 minutes, and then the usual buzzing that came from a panel in the back of the room ceased, indicating that the school must have cut all the power.
Ooh.
We all looked at each other, realizing this must be serious. A few more minutes of waiting later, we heard a man screaming at the top of his lungs coming down the hallway. 2 girls in the class actually started crying, which made all of us even more scared. As the screaming got closer to the classroom, the lunatic-sounding man started banging on the lockers while screaming, "I'll kill all of you." It was at that moment that I started to fear for my life. My teacher shushed us as we all looked at each other to see our peers' reactions. The banging then moved from the lockers to our classroom door. And that's when one of the crying girls screamed no.
Girl, you supposed to be quiet!
The banging on the door only grew worse as the man started screaming, "Open up."
Sir?
2 of the girls in the class were crying out loud now. It felt like an eternity that man was pounding at the door. But eventually, he finally continued down the hallway, screaming like a mentally insane person, until we could not hear him anymore.
Oh, that's
I'd
creepy,
say
man.
10 minutes later, though it felt like half an hour given the situation, the dean came back on the loudspeaker explaining the situation, which was surprising for him to do. He explained that some apparently mentally unstable person entered the building and assaulted the woman sitting at the front desk, causing her to flee the building screaming, and staff wasn't sure if the man was armed or not. Now, this was before the school had cameras or could afford proper security, so the school was wide open to something like this happening. The staff had done a sweep of all the hallways and classrooms and couldn't find him, so the dean instructed the teachers to resume teaching, but to keep all the doors locked, and to not let any students leave for any reasons. The most disturbing part, however, is that one of the janitors working the night shift found the man sleeping in one of the storage closets near the back end of the school. And according to rumors that were spread by my peers, sticking out of his pocket was a .44 Magnum.
Dude.
The janitor must have done something stupid to wake him up. For example, leaving the closet door open, because by the time a police officer could arrive on the scene, the man was gone.
Man, you couldn't think to lock him in a closet or some shit?
My entire class, as far as I know, to this day, has no idea if this man was ever found, but I like to think that right now, he's being given the proper help that he needs.
That's nice of you. Man, that was freaky. Our last wonderful animation is by the wonderful Meekan. This one's called Scream from the Golden Arches.
It's time. Come, Thomas, you'll want to see this.
What in the world is going on? We just started and just like... go stupid, go crazy, I'm sorry.
Oh my god. A female grimace, yes.
What the I don't think I can show that here. I am not going to show the fuck, what in the actual fuck, man? What the fuck, Meekan? What the fuck?
Female Grimeye go into heat only once in their life cycle, and every McDonald's has at least one female, but the male...
What? What the fuck, man?
Are exceedingly rare. In fact, the last known bull grimace died this year. Do you know what that means? It means if she doesn't produce a male, the species is doomed. Cervix dilation, 12 centimeters. She's ready. 15.
What in the world, Meekan?
months of gestation, but she's ready now to bring her litter of grim-eyed pups into the world.
Ew.
Damn it. It's gone breach. Quickly, Thomas, before we lose it.
I can't take me King seriously after this. I'm over here laughing and I don't know what's funny. literally got Eddie VR special ed on the background, and I'm crying just like, what the fuck? I would be traumatized.
Come on, breathe, breathe!
Poor dude. He looks so stoned.
Come on, breathe, breathe!
My dude looks so stoned. I'm so sorry. Oh my goodness, please. He looks so stoned. He just like, hey, you got some cheeseburgers? I'm sorry.
It's beautiful.
He'll make a fine bull.
Ew.
Ladies and gentlemen, the McRib is back. I'll take one.
Ew. Ew. That's so gross. Those poor traumatizing kids.
Hey, just to let you know, I can't work next Wednesday. My grandma died.
Oh, okay, I'll update the schedule, but please try to let me know 2 weeks ahead of time.
Well, I didn't know she would pass away. I have no real way of controlling that.
What a kid.
So,
No, I know, but I'm just letting you know.
I'm gonna need therapy after watching this. I think I'm done.